let me explain my list for 2 minutes straight, and then we'll actually talk about them. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with the books that I want to read in 2022. So this is a video that I do every single year, usually in December. The last couple of years I have done it in December, but there was just so many awesome kind of end of the year videos that I wanted to do this year, so I kind of bumped this one to January. If you guys remember, for 2021, my list was actually two. I had two separate lists. A list of books, just like standalone books that I wanted to read, and then a list of series or series continuation in some way, hopefully to push me to read more series or, you know, parts of series. And I did okay. Like, there's like 3 or 4 books, I think, on those lists combined that I didn't actually get around to, which, considering I had 24 books to read that I might not have been in the mood for many parts of the year, I'll take it. So this year I decided to take a step back. You know, I was like, I don't think I want to have 2 separate lists. I think I just want to have one list of 12 books, kind of like I did a couple of years ago. And I was thinking about what kinds of books I wanted to put on that list. Some like, do I want to put books that like I've had on my TBR forever? But I've done that a couple of times and it didn't really like, I just never got around to those books. So I decided this year what I'm going to do, because there's a theme. There's a theme to this list. This list is all the books that I pre-ordered or came out in 2021 that I didn't get around to. If you guys remember, I think it was like in March, I did a, you know, anticipated releases video. That one is coming in January, don't worry. But I had quite a few books on that list, and some I did get around to, and some I did not. So I've got a list of 12, I've got a stat here, of 12 books that all came out in 2021. I think I pre-ordered all except for one of them, and I still haven't read them. So this is what we're doing. I'm going to get around to the books because I really was excited about them. I want to make this list a list of books that I'm really, you know, excited to get to, and not just a list of books that like have been on my TBR forever. So like maybe I'm not interested in them right now, but because these came out recently, I am interested in them right now. So there's a hodgepodge of stuff here, but let's just dive on into it. There's not really a list to this, you know, stack, but I did keep them without even meaning to in like publication order. So like we're starting in the beginning of the year and coming to the end of the year. So here we are. But the first book is going to be Sister Song by Lucy Holland, and it says 3 siblings, 3 deadly sins. Now this is a book that I pre-ordered because of Ashley from A Frolic Fiction. This is supposed to be a retelling of The Two Sisters, which is an old British folk ballad. And it just sounds really interesting. It's been a while, so I'm not entirely sure I remember everything about this, but it says betrayal, magic, murder, a tale of 3 siblings and 3 deadly sins. So it does follow 3 siblings, and I think one of them, there's hints in the synopsis that one of them might be trans, and I think that's what really grabbed my attention because I wanted to see how that was going to work in a historical setting. But honestly, like, this cover is really what grabbed me in. So it's, you know, British folklore retelling of in a sense, and that's all I really need to know. So when I'm in a like mythology mood, I can go towards this one. The next one is The Cost of Knowing by Brittany Morris. This is The Past is Only Half Your Story. So I have actually read the other book by Brittany Morris, which is Slay. I think I read it near the middle of last year. I can't quite remember. And I really, really enjoyed it. And so this is the author's newest book. This follows a 16-year-old named Alex who was just trying to, you know, make ends meet, get by. But he has this special ability where he can touch objects and kind of see the future in them. So I believe he works at like an ice cream shop, and so he can touch a scoop and then he sees a vision of him scooping the ice cream. He touches a car and he sees it like in a ditch somewhere. But he touches a photograph, I believe, of his brother, and he sees his brother's death, and he's really freaked out by that, and I think he's trying to stop it. So I'm not really sure what I'm getting into with this book. I'm very curious about this kind of magical realism element to this, because the last book didn't have any of that. I also think that we are going to do a little bit of talking about racism and being a black man in America within this book. It kind of mentions it at the end of the synopsis, and her last book, Slay, dive really deep into being black in America. So I expect to have some tough subjects with this, but I'm also curious how she's going to weave in the magical realism elements as well. And then I need to also read Kate and Waiting, which is the newest book by Becky Albertalli. I always wanted to like hit myself in the face. Okay, I have loved Becky Albertalli's books in the past. I devoured Simon, I devoured, what was the other one that The Upside of Unrequited as well, and I just haven't read a book just by her. She's co-written quite a lot recently, but I was really excited when she came out with this book, which is all about theater. So it follows our two main characters, Kate and Anderson, who are kind of connected at the hip. Everyone thinks they're pretty codependent on each other, and I do believe that they are part of this play somewhere. And then there's a guy that comes in and they both have a crush on him, and so their friendship gets tested. I love Becky Albertalli's writing. I think she's incredible, and I'm very, very curious about her new book, and I can't believe I actually haven't read it yet, to be honest, so I'm so excited to dive into this one. The next one is the only one that possibly, it's not really a new release for 2021. The paperback was released in 2021, which I was holding out until I got it. So I'm counting it. And that is The Betrothed by Kira Cass. This is the first in her new series. It says here, like, there's no synopsis of this, but on the back it says, a handsome young king, a would-be queen, a perfect match, or is it? So she is really good at writing like teen, like lower teen kind of romances. I devoured her Selection series, so I'm very nervous going into it, because while I did love it, I'm not sure if I reread it I would still love it, so I'm a little hesitant about this. Also, I've heard not so great things about this one, but I do love this author. Actually, my best friend Lauren and I met her. It was very cool, and she even like hinted when we met her of like this book, and I'm excited. So I do know that the second one has come out by now, but again, holding out for the paperback of it. But I don't really know what this book is about. I definitely bought it because it was her. So the paperback came out in 2021, so I'm putting it on this list. And I'm very curious about this because I love a good not Regency, but like royalty romance. And it seems like it's definitely going to be that. Then, the next one I need to read is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. Hopefully this will be read earlier in the year. I do have a kind of like beach trip planned, so I'm hoping to bring this one along for that one. But this was the author who wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue, which took over the world when that one came out, and it was so good. I loved it, and I was so excited when they announced that they were coming out with a new book, and they've even announced they're coming out with their first YA book. This one follows 23-year-old August in New York City. She's really skeptical about love, but then she takes the subway one day and sees this girl named Jane who kind of is rocking the 70s look, but it turns out she's actually from the 70s and somehow like stuck in time on the train. That's all I know. I'm curious about this magical realism element as well. Their romances, at least the one that I read before, was so good and so steamy. I cannot wait to see where this one goes, and I'm very curious about all of these little elements within it. So, I've heard nothing but good things, so I hope I actually read this one, because I'm very excited about it. The next one is one that I know is going to break me. I do. And that is The Ghosts We Keep by Mason Deaver. This is the author of I Wish You All the Best, which I devoured and loved. I believe it was their debut novel, and I was so excited. And then when I found out that they were coming out with a new book this past year, I was like, I must get my hands on that, which I did, and then didn't do anything with it. So this one, I think, like I said, I think it's going to break me because it seems like it's really going to deal with grief. So it follows our main character, Liam, after his brother, Ethan, was suddenly killed in a hit and run. And I believe Ethan gets really close with his Liam, the main character Liam, gets really close with his brother's best friend Marcus. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some sort of relationship between that, but it does seem like it's going to heavily focus on grief, you know, having just lost a sibling. So I expect all the tears when I read this one, I'm not gonna lie. But again, I loved this author's last work, so I couldn't, I can't wait to get to this one. The next one is a really good, you know, summer read, I think, and that is Jay's Gay Agenda by Jason June. I've heard great things about this one as well. This is this author's debut novel, I believe, now that I'm thinking about this. This follows Jay, and he lives in a very rural, small community in Washington State, and he's just there with all of his friends. They talk about their hetero, you know, relationships and very straight relationships, and he's like, I want to do my own thing. I want to be me. And so he writes down kind of like this list of things that he wants to do, aka his gay agenda. And then he and his family end up moving to Seattle, which is a very progressive, LGBT-friendly town. And I think he kind of takes the reverse and goes crazy with the fact that he can be himself and is trying to find himself along the way as well. So I expect great things from this. I think it's going to be a beautiful YA kind of, you know, coming of age story, but really this name is all I really needed to know. And then the rest of it sounded great, but like it just sounds so cute. The next one is Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. This is her most recent work as well, and I believe at this point I've read everything she's written. I think she's only written 2 things before this. Is that right? I think so. So I've read both of those, and this one got my attention because dancing. I grew up around dancers, so anything with dancing in it sounds amazing. But this follows Evie, who doesn't believe in love, especially because she somehow like experiences these weird occurrences where she witnesses people like in love, and then she can see kind of like towards the future and towards the past. Like she sees how the relationship began and how it's going to end, and so she's just kind of caught in between. And then somehow she gets invited or is part of this dance studio, and she falls for this guy. His name is X, and he like dances with her. I don't actually know. I'm not gonna lie. Ballroom dance competition. There we go. I think they're gonna, you know, do that. And then of course she's gonna fall for him. But dancing, again, all I needed to know. This is the 3rd book in this list that has some sort of magical realism kind of element towards it. So I'm very excited about this. This cover is beautiful, and I've loved this author's past works, and I cannot wait to dive into this one. So the next book on this list is Of Princes and Promises by Zendaya Menon. This is the 2nd in her Rosewood Academy series. I read the first one a couple of years ago when it came out. It's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. They're all going to be set in this very private, you know, kind of high school. Is it high school? It's a private school for really rich people, princes, royalty, and then like people who have lots and lots of money. I do think that every single book in this series, I think there's going to be 4, is going to be based on a different fairy tale. So the first one was Beauty and the Beasts, and this one I believe is going to be based on Princess and the Frog. So in this we follow Katarina, which is kind of like the bad girl, the mean girl, not the bad girl, but like the mean girl from the first book, and then Raoul, who I don't actually remember him from the first book, but I believe that he was there. But Katarina has been kind of a jerk for a long time, and then she and her very pretty boyfriend break up. And I think she and Raoul share this moment at this winter dance, and then she thinks nothing of it. But then she finds out that her ex-boyfriend is actually bringing a supermodel to some sort of gala that they're doing, and she cannot come alone. So she brings Raoul because she's tired of all of these preppy boys in the school, and she wants someone a little bit different, aka him. So she brings him, but he finds this like gel, like this hair gel that will turn him into whatever he desires. So he wears it and it becomes a super cool guy, but like obviously that's not what she wants, and so it's going to be that kind of conversation and that kind of conflict between them. But I loved the first one, and I cannot wait to dive into this one. And obviously fairy tale romances, retellings, all I needed to know. The next one is one that you've already seen because it's on my January TBR, and that is A Dance with the Fae Prince by Elise Kova, and this is the 2nd in her Married to Magic series. So this is a series of standalones. You can read them completely out of order. It doesn't matter. There's going to be a 3rd one that is coming out this year that I'm excited about. but they all kind of take place in the same universe. And so this one follows our main character, Katrina, or I never know how to say this. I think her name is Katria. So we follow her, and she is human, and so she's just accepted the fact that she's never going to fall in love. Love is off the table for her. But then she's married off to this mysterious lord, who is a handsome prince. And so she finds his attraction to him, and then there's some mysterious stuff happening in this palace. She like witnesses some sort of ritual that she's not supposed to, is like not for human eyes, and she somehow witnesses it. And I'm sure she's going to be sucked into like a lot of the issues and a lot of the court intrigue with the Fae court. But I loved the first book by this author in the series, which is A Deal with the Elf King, and so I'm excited to dive into this one. So yeah, hopefully I will get to it in January. That is my plan. The next one is one that I just picked up, actually. It's the only one on here that I didn't actually pre-order, and it is freaking huge. I was expecting the paperback, and I got the hardback, and my lord. So it is this nonfiction book, which is In the Shadow of the Empress by Nancy Goldstone. This is a historian that I love her books. I've read 2 of them already, and she really dives deep into like historical families and historical different situations. It follows Maria Theresa, who is the mother of Marie Antoinette, who went off to marry the Prince of France. So it follows her and her 3 daughters, one of them being Marie Antoinette. So I'm very curious to see how this goes, because the last one I read by this author was also similar to this in the fact that it had a mom and like 5 kids, and so it followed all of her daughters and all of her descendants and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people in that one, but this one only being 4, and they're all very closely connected. I think it'll be a little bit easier, but I've loved the stuff that I've read by her. All of her historical deep dives, all of her nonfiction books sound really interesting, and this was just the most recent one. So I did pick it up in January, but I'm so excited. Oh, I'm very excited to get to it. So hopefully I can get to this one very soon. And the very last book on this list is one that you will have seen again already. It's on my January TBR, and that is Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith. This is volume 1. This is a graphic novel that is just utterly beautifully illustrated. Look at all of those colors. But it follows Hades and Persephone, and I've heard nothing but good things about this. Now, this was a webcomic that has been turned into a physical format. The second volume is coming out later this year, which of course I've pre-ordered. But I've heard, like I said, really great things. I did start reading this online. I did find it before it was announced that it was coming to print, but then I got so far behind that I was going to have to start over anyway. And then it was announced that these were going to be in print, so I just waited until I got them, and I'm going to read them physically that way. But they're stunning. I know it's going to romanticize this relationship. That's, you know, Hades and Persephone is not the best of relationships. It's based on Greek mythology. There's a lot of stuff there. But I love the illustration, and I love Greek mythology, and I'm very curious to see how how she's going to take it. So, I loved what I read online, so I can't wait to learn the rest of the story. And that is it. Those are the 12 books that I am hoping to read in 2022. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books, as always. But if you also have some books that you'd like to get to this year, I'd love to know what those are as well. What emoji should we do? Let's do either a pink or blue heart. They have those, right? Yeah. Do a heart for me. Because love, and also Lore Olympus. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you want to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all that out, and I will see you guys in my next video.